The following video is intended for mature audiences. It contains horror elements, adult themes, and language that might not be suitable for younger viewers. Welcome to the Southern Underworld, your place for original horror, sci-fi, and thriller content where the stories are always written with heart. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. We'd love to know in what part of the world you are watching and what is your favorite horror movie of all time. Thank you for watching and enjoy the video. Dust and demons. I've seen things in Jericho Creek that would turn your blood to ice, but nothing compared to what happened that summer when the devil came to dance in our desert town. They moved here in June, Annie and Tom. She possessed people with her smile, while he worked his ranch with hands that looked too clean for a cattleman. I watched them from my diner window as they wandered our streets, her whispers making him grin like a shark. Bodies started disappearing after they arrived. First the Miller boy, then old Mrs. Patterson. The sheriff blamed mountain lions, but mountain lions don't leave playing cards at crime scenes. Annie did that, her signature. She'd wave at me through my window each morning and I'd wave back, my fingers trembling. I should have warned Lucy when she stumbled into town. Young, pretty Lucy with stars in her eyes and dreams bigger than our Dust Bowl town could hold. She fell hard for Tom's weathered charm, while Annie played the welcoming friend, inviting her to dinner parties where the wine flowed red as blood. The truth crawled out of the earth one night while I was closing up. A mutt scratched at my back door, something dangling from its jaws. I recognized the fabric, Lucy's favorite shirt, now stained dark and stiff. The dog led me to the old Thompson barn, and that's where everything changed. I heard the screams before I reached the door. Inside, Tom stood over Annie, his knife catching moonlight. But Annie wasn't Annie anymore. Her skin rippled like desert heat waves, her bones cracking as she rose. Tom's face twisted, not in horror but in ecstasy. Finally, he breathed and plunged the blade into his own chest. Their bodies melted together like wax, limbs tangling and fusing. What rose from that mess wasn't human. It towered to the rafters, a mass of writhing flesh and hungry mouths. Eyes opened across its surface, all fixed on me. The thing spoke with two voices twined together. "We've waited so long," they purred. Killing separately was fun, but together we're perfect. I ran. Behind me, boards splintered as the creature burst from the barn. Lucy's half-digested remains tumbled from one of its mouths. The sight pushed my legs faster, but the monster moved like wind. It caught me at the creek bed. "You'll join our dance," the voices sang. A mouth yawned open above me, teeth gleaming. But I had one trick left. While they'd played their games, I'd studied the old stories about demons who could be bound by their true names. As the creature's breath washed over me, I spoke the words I'd found scratched inside Annie's locket when she'd left it at my diner. The thing screamed, a sound like dying stars. Its flesh bubbled and burst, spattering the creek with drops that hissed and burned. But it didn't die. Nothing that evil ever really dies. It retreated into the desert, leaving tracks that smoked in the sand. Sometimes, on hot nights, I hear two voices laughing on the wind. New folk still disappear now and then, their bodies turning up twisted and drained. The sheriff still blames mountain lions. The town pretends nothing happened, but I know better. I keep Annie's locket close, its inscription burning against my skin. I watch the horizon where dust devils dance, knowing they aren't all made of wind. Love turned inside out made that monster. Annie and Tom found one another, recognized their shared darkness, and became something worse together. Now they prowl the edges of town, perfect partners in an eternal killing dance. I should leave Jericho Creek, but someone needs to stay, to warn others about the thing in the desert. Someone needs to remember that evil walks on two legs until it doesn't need legs at all. So I wait and watch, my diner window facing the desert. The monster's out there, patient as the sand. One day it'll come for me again, but this time I'll be ready. After all, I know its name. Reflection of love. I remember the exact moment my lover became a monster. We sat beside our dying campfire on Valentine's Day, snow drifting down in perfect silence. David handed me a glass of wine, his smile sharp as a blade. The same scene had played out countless times before. Same fire, same wine, same loving words that slithered from his lips like poison. I lived that moment over and over, trapped in a loop of his making, watching him transform from the man I loved into something that wore his skin. "Drink up, darling," he purred, his eyes reflecting the flames. "It's a special vintage, just for you." My fingers clutched the glass, the wine thick as blood. Each sip burned down my throat, but his stare pinned me in place. I knew what would happen if I refused. I'd seen it before. The rage that twisted his handsome face, the darkness that consumed him. Time blurred as the drugged wine took hold. The forest spun around me, branches reaching down like claws. But this time was different. This time, I had a plan. "Remember when we met?" I forced the words out, fighting the potion's pull. "You said I was the bravest woman you'd ever known." His expression softened for a heartbeat. "You still are." My hand crept to my pocket, fingers wrapping around cold silver. The ancient locket I'd discovered in his cabin, hidden beneath floorboards stained with old blood. Inside lay a mirror that showed true reflections, the kind that trap monsters. "Tell me you love me," I whispered. He leaned close, breath frosting in the air. "Forever, my Valentine." I yanked out the locket and snapped it open. The mirror caught his face, and David screamed. His features melted like wax, revealing the horror beneath. The thing that had killed all those other women, trapping them in endless Valentine's days until their souls withered away. Wind howled through the trees as he thrashed, his body stretching and twisting. The mirror pulled him in, sucking away the monster wearing my lover's face. His screams pierced the night until suddenly, silence. I collapsed in the snow, clutching the locket, the prison that now held him. The fire had died, leaving me alone in the dark with my victory and my grief. Dawn crept over the horizon as I stumbled through the woods. Each step took me further from our ruined campsite, from the ashes of our love. My muscles burned from fighting his influence, but my mind felt clear for the first time in months. The frozen creek ahead mirrored the sky, ice crackling under my boots. I stopped to study my reflection, pale, exhausted, but free. The locket hung heavy around my neck, occasionally twitching as he raged inside. Sometimes I wonder if David was always a monster, or if love twisted him into one. If the man I fell for ever really existed, or if he was just another mask. But those questions don't matter anymore. I buried the locket deep in the woods, marking the spot with a ring of stones. Let him spend eternity reliving our last Valentine's Day, trapped in an endless loop of his own making. It seems fitting somehow. The police never found the other women's bodies. They're still out there somewhere, scattered across his hunting grounds like fallen leaves. I light candles for them sometimes, hoping they've found peace. I still jump when someone offers me wine, still flinch at the sight of campfires, but the nightmares are fading, replaced by a different kind of strength, the kind that comes from surviving. Love makes monsters of us all in its own way, but some of us learn to fight back. Some of us learn to break the cycle. Now I watch other couples on Valentine's Day, seeing the darkness that sometimes lurks behind their smiles. And I keep the directions to that buried locket close, just in case I meet another monster wearing a lover's face. After all, someone has to protect the brave ones who haven't learned to protect themselves yet. Dark Valentine. Heart-shaped decorations hung listlessly in the frigid gray light of dawn, casting eerie pink shadows on the damp cobblestone streets of Cupid's Hollow. Valentine's Day, typically a time of sugary happiness and romantic gestures, now brought a sense of foreboding and unease. The air was thick with a growing fear, emanating from the whispers of townspeople and the malicious presence of a mysterious cloaked figure. This embodiment of love turned sinister lurked in the shadows, wielding arrows that didn't pierce physical bodies but rather pierced the depths of one's soul, leaving behind scars of heartbreak and despair. The once charming town held a haunting aura, its innocence tainted by a dark force. The first victim was Mr. Fitzwilliam, the timid baker with a perpetual dusting of flour on his apron. While kneading dough for his famous cinnamon buns, an arrow struck him in the back. He tumbled head over heels and landed at the feet of his first customer of the day, Mrs. Peabody. Despite her advanced age and hunched stature, she let out a cackle that could curdle milk. Mr. Fitzwilliam's love, twisted by the curse, manifested as a monstrous sourdough loaf. Its crust was alive with pulsating eyes, and its yeasty innards emitted muffled screams for help. The bakery, once filled with warmth and the comforting aroma of freshly baked goods, now reeked of fear and despair. Panic swept through the town. Sarah, the cynical owner of the quaint bookstore, observed with mounting dread as her best friend and eternal optimist, Emily Knowles, fell under the spell of Mr. Tibbets, the taxidermist. His stuffed owls gleamed with a hunger that made Sarah's skin crawl. Despite Mr. Tibbets's many declarations of love for Sarah, she remained immune to his charms, her jaded heart shielding her from the arrows. But Sarah knew they had to act fast before Emily was completely consumed by Mr. Tibbets's seductive tricks. Elias, the stoic carpenter with secrets shrouding his every move, joined forces with Sarah in a quest for answers. Together, they scoured the dusty annals of the town's forgotten library. Amongst the rows of aged books and parchment, they unearthed a leather-bound volume that whispered of misplaced affections and vengeful spirits. Within its yellowed pages lay a chilling spell, capable of twisting love into a nightmare born from the beloved's deepest fears. But time proved to be a fickle Valentine, ticking away as the town underwent a grotesque transformation, where twisted affections ruled over all. Whispered compliments, dripping with insincerity, mutated into razor-tongued shadows that slithered and coiled around their victims. The innocent-looking chocolate boxes revealed swarms of venomous insects, their wings buzzing with a sinister intent, and the love letters, once filled with sweet declarations, now transformed into monstrous spiders, their 8 legs skittering along as they wove webs of deceit. Sarah and Elias's hunt led them to the infamous Cupid's Manor, nestled at the heart of the town. Within the crumbling walls of the abandoned mansion, they found the archer herself, a scorned lover whose once beating heart had turned to ash and embers from the pain of betrayal. Her ghostly form, draped in tattered lace and rotting flowers, she glided through the halls. The townspeople, blinded by her beguiling beauty, had once showered her with love and devotion, only to be met with rejection. Now she reveled in their fear and sought to consume their souls, fueled by the twisted affection that had turned her heart into a blackened Valentine. A desperate battle ensued. Elias faced his fears, feeling his mask of strength falter as he braced himself for possible rejection. Sarah's sharp wit and cynicism were weapons against her vulnerability, deflecting the arrows of emotion that the ghostly archer shot at her heart. But it was Emily, the eternal optimist, who held the key to breaking the curse. With trembling hands, she faced the taxidermist, a grotesque figure made up of stitched-together pieces and a love that had turned into an owl statue. In a wavering voice, Emily confessed her deepest fear, being alone. In that moment, the beast crumbled, replaced by hope and understanding. As Sarah watched, the owl hovering above them lost its shape, melting into a black ooze that dripped down a tree trunk. The monstrous love that had held Cupid's Hollow captive for so long was finally ending. The ground trembled as the anchor of the curse shattered, and with it, the monsters that had terrorized the town for years. Love letters that had been woven into spiderwebs unraveled, and shadows slithered back into their true forms. As the town slowly returned to normal, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. She knew that even though this battle was won, the archer would not give up so easily. And as Emily skipped away hand in hand with Mr. Tibbets, now free from his monstrous form, Sarah couldn't shake off the chilling feeling that next Valentine's Day might bring another wave of twisted affections and dark attachments to their small town. The fragile shield of love may have protected them for now, but it could easily shatter in the hands of those who wield it recklessly. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you for watching.